An American president is supposed to instill a sense of security in the American people, especially in their minds. Their words should always allow us to rest easier. Instead, this president's confusion, ineptness, and weakness is having the exact opposite effect on the nation. So, for example, my anxiety over the dangers we now face, thanks to Joe Biden, is at an all-time high. Americans are uneasy, and I'm sure I'm not alone, mostly because of this.
There is no way to evacuate this many people without pain and loss of heartbreaking images you see on television. It's just a fact. Look, the Taliban has to make a fundamental decision. I can't think of anyone better to lead this operation than Deanne Criswell of FEMA.
That's brutal. It really is. It's brutal to watch. So what you just saw right there, in many respects, I place a lot of the blame on Barack and Michelle Obama, even Jill Biden. You know why? They knew Sleepy Joe is incapable of leading. They knew his mental state was in rapid decline, and yet they offered him up as their useful idiot, knowing he would follow instructions, and at worst, if left to his own, he would create the chaos these anti-American evildoers seek by simply making bad decisions. Joe Biden has been on the wrong side of everything since the beginning of his political career. So the deep state, led, of course, by Barack Obama, hated President Trump so much they were willing to do anything, including cheat, to install their Manchurian candidate, their puppet, Joe Biden.
Poll also found that based in part on what's transpired in the last week, a majority of Americans, and forgive me, I'm just the messenger, no longer consider you to be competent, focused, or effective in the job.
I haven't seen that poll.
It's out there from CBS this morning. What would you say?
He thinks that's funny? He thinks it's funny that a majority of Americans think he's incompetent. There's nothing funny about that. You see, one man is single-handedly destroying the world, not just America, but the world. The Biden-enabled collapse of Afghanistan has far-reaching effects. First and foremost, American citizens face the prospect of execution now overseas. The longer the Taliban takeover is allowed to flourish, the greater the chance Americans will be killed by Taliban jihadists. In fact, today, the Taliban, feeling so emboldened by Joe Biden, issued a warning to the United States. They're warning us. Leave by August 31st or else there will be, quote, consequences, the Taliban declared.
UK wanted to extend the 31st of August deadline in order to continue evacuations out of the country. Would you agree to that?
No.
Why not?
This is something you can say it's a red line. If they are intent on continuing the occupation, so it will provoke a reaction.
That, of course, is one of the Taliban leaders. Bringing up a red line, they know what they're doing. They're using words that mean nothing to Barack Obama and Joe Biden and whoever's pulling the strings back in Washington. You see, only under Joe Biden do holy warriors dictate anything to the United States. It is an absolute disgrace. The Taliban even mocked America by creating its own Iwo Jima, Mount Suribachi photo. The imitation is a spit in the eye to every American who ever wore a flag on their shoulder. And yet, Joe Biden wants us to trust the Taliban. It is nothing short of insanity.
Someone in our audience might listen to you, Mr. Secretary, and say, oh, so we have to ask the Taliban for permission for American citizens to leave. True or not true?
They are in control of Kabul. That is the reality. In this case, it is, I think, a requirement of the job to be in contact with the Taliban, which controls Kabul.
The Secretary of State just admitted that the Taliban is in control. Now, we all knew it, but it didn't need to happen like this. So now the United States of America is getting permission from the Taliban? of how to do things in that country, this is a fall as big as any fall I have ever seen. It's embarrassing to the United States. Now, the reality is, since the fall of Afghanistan, China has upped its cyber attacks against the United States, Russia too. Our open borders continue to wreak havoc on America. The China virus and Joe Biden's tyrannical oppression surrounding it is stifling American greatness. It's even stifling our freedom. Just today, China tweets out a ridiculous tweet talking about how in 20 years, we started with Taliban rule, end with Taliban rule. This from China. It's unbelievable to me. They now mock us because of Joe Biden. Now we get more Guantanamo Bay releases from Joe Biden in an attempt to shut down the prison altogether. So intelligence documents reveal that 229 so-called rehabbed former Gitmo detainees have returned to terrorism already. 66% of them are still at large. They're not at large anymore. They're in Afghanistan waging war against Americans and that nation. Remember Barack Obama and Joe Biden? They released the Taliban 5, the same violent terrorists that are now leading the Taliban once again. And quietly, I want you to listen carefully to this part. Last month, Joe Biden allowed the release of Abdul Latif Nasser, an alleged member of Al-Qaeda and a Taliban fighter. He was captured on the battlefield in Afghanistan, a man accused of trying to kill American soldiers. For 20 years, he sat in Guantanamo prison. Joe Biden let him go last month, returning him to his home country of Morocco, even though leaked reports out of Gitmo proclaim this. Even while detained, these investigators at Gitmo write, the detainee has made statements of support for violent terrorist activity. Detainee has threatened U.S. personnel and included references to the 11 September 2001 attacks within his threats. Now, they let that guy go? This same leaked memo claims Nasser is a member of the Al-Qaeda military committee and has direct ties to Osama bin Laden. And that is the man Joe Biden releases, a guy with direct ties to Osama bin Laden. Why? Here is the reality. What we are seeing in Afghanistan and here at home is just the beginning. It is only the start of worldwide chaos inspired and enabled by a feckless and controlled Joe Biden. Now, don't forget about the chaos that is still unfolding at our southern border. Here's the deal. It's about to get a lot worse thanks to Afghanistan. Why, you may ask? Well, here is a Stinchfield exclusive for you. We obtained this Department of Homeland Security internal memo to DHS employees. It reads, quote, I am writing to request that you consider volunteering with the DHS volunteer force for assisting with the immediate relocation of Afghan nationals who help support the U.S. mission in Afghanistan and other vulnerable Afghans. I understand that allowing your employees to step away from their daily duties for long periods of time may be inconvenient, but they need to ease the strain of our colleagues already serving on the border and overseas. Long periods of time. I thought Biden wants us gone by August 31st. This request is going to Border Patrol agents as well. They're being asked to temporarily relocate from the border in the United States to Afghanistan. Do you see the mess that Joe Biden has created here? In his quest to hastily and recklessly bring troops home, he is now going to send Border Patrol agents overseas. The audacity of this administration never ceases to amaze me. Well, I want to welcome in former Joint Special Operations Commander in Afghanistan, retired U.S. Army Brigadier General Donald Bolduc. General, it is good to have you back on the program. Thank you.
Great to be back on the program, sir.
What do you make of this idea of now sending Border Patrol agents to Afghanistan?
I think it's absurd. I don't know who came up with that idea, but it's absolutely the wrong solution. They need to stop reinforcing failure, step back, realize they've made a mistake, man up, and do what needs to be done, and that's send the necessary combat power to secure the appropriate number of airfields to shorten the distances of the men and women, our American citizens, our Afghan friends, and our allies, and get them out safely through safe corridors and establishing that. Anything short of that is going to result in more of a disaster than we're seeing now.
General, it seems to me that the Biden administration is operating out of some kind of public relations fear. They don't want another Black Hawk Down. They don't want shots fired in the streets. Meanwhile, Americans are stranded there. It seems like they're doing everything they can to prevent some kind of bad image while we've got Americans that could face certain death if we don't get them out of there soon.
Oh, absolutely. And that's already happening. So the idea that they're hand-wringing over the possibility of hostages or increased hostages is a very false narrative. It's being done now. I know the Taliban. I fought them for 10 tours. We successfully disrupted and degraded and neutralized them on 2 occasions when we had the right strategy in place. They'll run away when we go in there. They'll stay and fight for a little bit, but they'll run. They can't take on American firepower, American service members. It's time for us to stand up and do what America does, and that's go in there and protect our citizens and protect those that protected us.
General, let me play a soundbite from you from Jen Psaki, the president's spokesperson today, talking about evacuations of Americans.
First of all, I think it's irresponsible to say Americans are stranded. They are not. We are committed to bringing Americans who want to come home. We are in touch with them via phone, via text, via email, via any way that we can possibly reach Americans to get them home if they want to return home.
I don't even know what to say, General. It makes me so angry to listen to that. Tell those to the people that are desperately trying to get out that can't get to the airport, General.
Right. Well, these are the same people that changed strategy in Afghanistan in 2014 that led to the unprecedented loss of security, the 2019 highest casualty rates of American service members, because they implemented the wrong thing in 2019. And now they're in charge of the country again, and they're making the same mistakes. Come on. You know, we have NCO. Go ahead, sir. I'm sorry.
Real quick, before I let you go, I want to get your reaction to this. You said you fought the Taliban. You commanded the most elite fighting force, I think, maybe in the world. We're now taking orders from the Taliban. The Taliban is giving us get out by August 31st or there'll be consequences. What did you think when you heard him say that?
Oh, I was sick to my stomach. They don't give us ultimatums. We give them ultimatums. They don't tell us what the red line is. We tell them what the red line is. And then we go in there and we show them what the red line is. This is absurd. It's not American, and it's the furthest thing away from the fighting spirit of our men and women. I know that for a fact.
Well, General Donald Bolduc, it is great having you back on the program. We need you in the United States Senate. I know you're running for that seat up there in New Hampshire. Good luck to you there. I guarantee you we see you again if you come back, because I love having you on the program, sir.
Thank you. Love being here.
You just watched Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news channel, now in more than 70 million homes. You can get Newsmax TV on your cable system or check your cable guide. And if your system doesn't carry Newsmax, call them, tell them you want Newsmax TV, because we're real news for real people.